Hello everyone, welcome to day 2 of the Vrbo Partner Summit, and happy Diwali to all of you who are celebrating today. On behalf of Expedia and Vrbo, we wish you a Diwali that brings happiness, prosperity, and joy to you and your family. We're so happy to have you join and want to thank you for investing your valuable time with us. My name's Anju Deshi, and I lead our partner brand here at Expedia Group. We have a great session planned for you today. We'll begin with a fireside chat with a couple of folks I'll introduce you to shortly, and then we'll move into part 2 of today's session with the incredible and inspirational Sophie Donaldson, who will share how successful vacation rental hosts design for families. So let's dive right into part 1 of today's session. We've collected a lot of questions from all of you, and we have a couple of our senior leaders here to give you the answers. So I'm thrilled to introduce you to our Chief Operating Officer, Jeff Hurst, and our Senior Vice President of Customer Services and Experience, Peter Andrews. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Very excited to be here.
These two have a combined of over 21 years of experience working with Vrbo and in the travel industry. So they've seen it all, they understand the challenges, and Jeff is actually a vacation rental host himself. Can each of you give an intro? And I'd also love to hear where you're vacationing next.
Absolutely. So my name's Jeff Hurst. I have been with some form or fashion of Expedia Group for over a decade, having started at HomeAway when it was a private company. Currently, I'm our Chief Operating Officer, focused on how we bring marketing campaigns to life across all the brands and the way the group functions. Previously, I was the president at Vrbo. And Anji mentioned I'm also a vacation homeowner. So we have a property we manage on Lake LBJ outside of Austin. And little known fact, during the pandemic, we bought an additional investment home in South Padre Island, and that's professionally managed. And that is where I'm going next. We're going to be there before the Thanksgiving holiday.
Love it. That's awesome.
My name is Peter Andrews, and I lead service and operations for our lodging teams here at Expedia. That includes both our vacation rental business as well as our hotel business. I've been with Expedia since 2011 in a number of different roles, and I've been involved in Vrbo for the past about 4 or 5 years now. Very exciting times here at Vrbo. It's been amazing the past couple of years, and wouldn't have missed it for the world. My next vacation is actually going to be over Thanksgiving, and we're going to be going up to Maryland, to the Chesapeake Bay area, to spend time with family and eat some turkey.
Ooh, that sounds great. All right, let's dive into the Q&A, and I'm going to start with you, Peter. And I know you were just on the road at the Vacation Rental Management Association conference, and you've been chatting with partners. So I'm curious about what are the big themes you're hearing as you're talking with partners?
Well, first of all, I'll do a plug for the Vrbo conference itself. It was absolutely amazing. It was so great to see all of our partners there. So many of our partners, and actually, I think for the first time, I started seeing some of our for rent by owner properties there, which was really nice to see those owners. So what am I hearing? First of all, business is good. It's been a spectacular summer. We've driven a tremendous amount of demand for our partners. They're greatly appreciative, and I think part of that is due to this a very positive response to some of the marketing campaigns we've done. We've had a very, very distinct focus on families and multi-generational families and complex family travel, and all of that has been very good for our partners. They've been very appreciative. I'd also like to say that selfishly, I hear good things about our support teams and our account management teams. And the partners are very appreciative that we're there for them. We have live teams ready to answer questions and ready to address their needs and solve their problems and coach them to how to be better performers in our marketplace. And so that's been very appreciated, and we hear that loud and clear. I think some of our competitors out there maybe don't have the same offering we do in that space. Yeah. So. And lastly, I would say what I continue to hear over and over again is that, from an owner perspective, the business is good. It's still a great investment to get into vacation rental business, to be a homeowner, to help monetize that asset. And whether you go through professional management or you manage via our platform, it continues to be a great way to both have an enjoyable vacation rental to own and manage like Jeff does, or to make money at it. So
yeah, I love hearing about all of that momentum. That's awesome.
Challenges, right? That was the other part of the question.
Yeah.
Well, the one that's on top of everyone's mind that I keep hearing a lot about lately is labor shortage. And so whether it's finding housekeepers to help get your vacation rental in order for the next guests coming through, or even for the small property managers that might have an internal staff to help with reservations, it's getting tight out there.
Yeah.
Labor for renovations, for replacing kitchen tile, it's you hear it loud and clear, and it's affecting the broader industry even outside vacation rentals. So that's the first one. Second one, we have a brand new set of travelers coming in. They have new expectations. A lot of these travelers, this is their first time staying in vacation rentals. They're used to staying in hotels, resorts. It's a different experience, right? And so we've got to help them through that. We've got to help educate them on what check-in looks like. We've got to help educate them on our content that we have on our listing sites, and we'll get into some of that later. But that's one of the big things I'm looking at seeing as a challenge. And finally, it's our success is also something that feeds into something that's not as that we have to work with, which is regulatory. And we're seeing more and more regulatory pressure. I think we're going to continue to see that, and hopefully we want to work with y'all, all of our partners out there, to make sure we get the right regulations and smart regulations in place for our industry.
Right. All of that lines up well with the types of questions that we got and themes that we heard from our partners. So I think it's good setup for the rest of the session. So for the next question, I want to ask, we've been on kind of a wild ride for the last 18 months, and I'm curious to hear from you, Jeff, on what are some of the learnings from your perspective over the last 18 months?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's been a roller coaster, and I think the thing I appreciate the most over the last 18 months is how much resilience and adaptability the industry showed. And so, as we think about going through new cleaning protocols, new cancellation protocols, refund protocols, for such a fragmented industry that relies on millions of individual homeowners and property managers, we really came together and made a difference for travelers, and I think built a durably better experience moving into this year and the decades to come. The second thing for me was the importance of partnership, and so as I mentioned, I used to lead a lot of our partner success teams, and the first thing we did when COVID started to get real in the States in particular in March of 2020 was start calling partners and ask how we can help. And so that really crafted our policies and the way we approached the solution, and getting to a place to where everybody was participating for common good, because we're all in this together. And then finally, I think it was a time where focus mattered more than ever before. Our partners are focusing on the guest experience, we're focusing on the homes, and for us, we were focused on families. And more than ever, families wanted to be together in a space that's not the space they were trapped in, and finding a way to get together with loved ones, get together with friends, became just like an obsession. And it came through in our marketing, it came through in bringing quality guests to you, and I think built a lot of durability in what we're going to see in the future travel profile.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I know we all have lessons, but those are absolutely great ones. And so for the next one, I want to ask you, Peter, what are some of the new trends that you're seeing from travelers?
Okay, well, we already kind of alluded to one, and this is a big one. No surprise, right? Cleanliness. The travelers are demanding the properties be clean, linens be crisp, no mildew, no mold. I mean, cleanliness is of utmost importance. So make sure that when you're working with either if you're doing your housekeeping yourself or the housekeeping staff you're working with, that you're keeping the utmost standards, and that first impression means everything. When they walk in the door, they want everything to be spick and span. Okay, so no surprise there, but given we're in a global pandemic. Second thing is price transparency. Okay, so this is when our shoppers are looking at rates, they want to know the bottom line. And what they don't like is a lot of different fees that are tacked on that are hard to describe and hard to define, and they don't understand what they mean. So the more you can bundle those fees into a single line and make it more transparent and make it easy to understand and load your rates in your base rate, it makes more sense and it converts higher. Okay, so that's a big one. I would say third, refundable rates. If you don't have a more flexible, refundable rate policy right now, you're going to be losing out on travelers. Given everything that's gone on, the roller coaster that Jeff mentioned over the past 18 months, travelers are expecting that. And they're going to book a property that gives them a little more flexibility with respect to refundability, especially if they're booking 6 months out, 8 months out, which we're seeing a lot of travelers do right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I would say last, this has been the case for a while. But I think even more important now, as we have these new travelers that are coming in and perhaps experiencing VRs for the first time with their families, and they're going to go spend a week at the beach or a week in the mountains, they want to know all about the property. They want to know the kind of coffee maker. They want to know how many people does the hot tub sit. They want to know, so as detailed as you can, get in your amenities and your properties, fill out those photo carousel of many great shots, hopefully professionally taken, that you can of your property to make it shine, and really set the right expectations so the guests know exactly what they're getting when they show up.
Yep, that's great input, and as a traveler, I think definitely agree with all of those expectations, and I've definitely seen my own expectations rise, so great insights for our partners. So what are some of the ways Vrbo plans to support partners in 2022? Jeff, can we hear from you?
Absolutely. So, I mean, the biggest thing is we want to keep bringing you a ton of great travelers who are respectful of your home and help you achieve your financial objectives. But beyond that, we're trying to make it easier to work together. And one of the things we've invested a lot of time and infrastructure in is taxes and payments, making it more durable, more reliable, and helping to make it easier and more transparent for you to know not only when you're getting paid and what you're getting paid, but also what we're remitting on your behalf to local jurisdictions, so we don't double pay, and importantly, to be sure that you fully pay. Additionally, we're investing a ton in being sure we maintain the momentum of bringing those guests to you, and so you'll see more of our marketing campaigns, and I think uniquely, we're running our first host-centric campaign that really highlights the unique and distinctive value each home brings and how it's not a commodity, it's a personal experience. We've invested a lot in Fast Start. Fast Start's a way for partners who got started on other platforms to join Vrbo and basically get off to a fast start. We heard a lot of this during the pandemic. People felt trapped on other platforms and the policy sets they were implementing, and we wanted to make it easier for them to diversify, reach new travelers, and work with us. And then finally, a huge part of our future is making your homes available and prominently displayed and easy to shop on Expedia and Hotels.com. And so we're focused on being sure you've got the right tools to be successful there. We're focused on being sure those shopping experiences are rich and easy and set the right expectations. And I think there's a lot more to come in the coming months and quarters on how we can bring that to life and make that a great experience.
How's Vrbo supporting the evolving local restrictions on vacation rental properties? Peter, can you take this one?
Sure thing. All the success we've had, as previously mentioned, has been great for our industry. It's been great for you all, our partners. However, it is bringing more scrutiny from regulations and regulators. And this is something that we want to work with you all to make sure that we are actually encouraging and putting in the right kind of regulation that'll help communities, obviously, but then also help protect our industry. And a lot of partners are, they don't realize that this could happen anywhere. And a perfect example of that is recent regulations passed in Summit County, Breckenridge, in the United States, where where I don't think people or partners expected in that location for that kind of regulation to be passed. And so what are we doing? Well, we're obviously working with partners at a local level. We have local alliances that we build. We work to educate are the leaders in those communities, both local, state, et cetera, and make sure that they're armed with the data, with the research, and everything they need to make sure that the right kind of laws and regulations are passed. So I would encourage you to get engaged with us, get engaged with your fellow partner community in wherever your homes are at, and involvement's the only way we're going to actually be able to win this thing.
Right. Well, thank you, Peter. And I think just as a reminder and to echo what Peter said, this is the time to get involved. And if you need any support there, our government affairs team is available to help with resources and guidance. You can reach them directly at governmentaffairs@vrbo.com or by visiting vrboadvocates.com. All right, so now I'd like to dive into some of our more platform-specific questions. And another question that we've heard a lot is, can we expect changes to host fees, and will annual flat fee subscriptions be phased out? I'm going to hand this one back to you, Peter.
All right. So, this is a question I get a lot. Matter of fact, I just got this question from a partner when I was at Vrbo. And I'll tell you what, the subscription model is one that works well for some of our partners. And actually, we have some amazing partners that perform really well and are super valuable in our marketplace that are on that model today. So I don't think we're going to do anything rash right now to jeopardize that business model and those partners' businesses, right? So there's no short-term plans to phase that out. I will say that we have done a lot of change over the past how many years to our marketplace. If you go back all the way to when we were purely an advertising platform to the two-sided e-commerce marketplace we are today. The vast majority of that change is largely behind us. And will there be tweaks going forward as we work through how to best serve our partners, how to best serve our travelers, and how to evolve and continue to grow as a marketplace? Yeah, there'll probably be tweaks here and there, but right now subscriptions is not a place that I think we're having a ton of focus on. Where I would say is a unique place for focus is a place I mentioned earlier, is our fee displays and how many fees we're pushing through and the size of those fees relative to rates. That is a place where I think there's a huge opportunity to actually improve the performance of the partners, that it can adopt those policies as well as get a better traveler experience.
Right. Great. Thank you for sharing. All right, Jeff, this question's for you. Are there any future plans to enable hosts to share last-minute deals with previous guests?
So thanks for the question, and this is one that's come up for many years. And so I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing, in the future, and then also some tips for what you can do today to be sure that works well. And so, primarily, I'd really encourage people to just be sure that you minimize the last-minute gaps in your calendar by messaging proactively with your future guests, being sure they have the right expectations, helping understand their needs so you don't have any of those negative surprises. But they do happen, and when they do happen, I think reaching out to prior guests is a great tool. And you can access prior guest information in our dashboard on Vrbo. You can send messages, and additionally, encourage that if you have people who are interested, maybe shopping, send an inquiry, got a price quote, you can also proactively reach out to them and send them essentially a price quote for your property that might be cheaper. The other thing I'd recommend, our premier partners have access to a program called Boost. Boost is a reward function to where the more you use our platform, the more boost points you get. And you can use that to raise your property in sort order for specific dates. And that is a really powerful feature to reach people on last minute notice, especially when coupled with a discount. And so our calendars do have day-specific rate settings. And so you can put in a discount, and we are constantly updating the way we think about sort results and optimizing for the best offers for travelers. And I think if you do those things, you're going to be able to minimize the gaps in your calendar. Additionally, we are investing more, per my prior point, on bringing some of the solutions we offer on Expedia and Hotels.com to Vrbo and your properties to those platforms. And so I do hope we're in a position in the future to do more last-minute deals and make that process easier for you.
And this one is for Peter, and I think our audience wants to know, why so much emphasis on instant booking?
Instant booking. Well, this is a question we get a lot as well. And this, a lot of this for me, it goes back to the traveler experience, right? So I travel, I have a family of 5. We travel in vacation rentals almost exclusively when we travel. We do a lot of research, right? We're looking online, we're looking at all the pictures, okay, who's gonna sleep well, where, and what does the kitchen look like, and all the amenities that I talked about before, right? And then we wanna go and we just wanna book it. And you wanna be able to press that button and have that instant confirmation that you've reserved this place and not have to go through the additional friction of back and forth it's a big turnoff. And as a matter of fact, we see it in the results, we see it in the numbers. Similar properties, ones that have instant book get 20% more bookings. In addition to that, it's one of the most used search filters. And people might say, well, why is that important? Well, if someone's going through our site and they click on Instant Book as a search filter, and if you're not Instant Book, you won't even show up. That traveler will never even see your property. And so it's important that if you want the maximum visibility and you want the highest conversion, and you want a good traveler experience, Instant Book is one of the ways to do it, right? I'll also add on is that, the opportunity to communicate with your hosts in that checkout procedure via your house rules will still be there in Instant Book. And also, if there's a house rules violation post booking, that booking can still be canceled without penalty. We'll just need to, we obviously work with us, and we'll get that make that happen for you. But so there's still that opportunity to watch after your house and watch after your asset and make sure you're getting the right travelers.
Yeah.
So.
And I just add, having been here even longer, I think we launched Instant Book in 2012 or 13, and it's really, we're not going to force you to do it, but I actually think that it's in everyone's best interest to have this feature turned on. It signals to a traveler that the rate's accurate, the calendar's accurate, and they can book the property. And so long as your house rules are in order and you're keeping your rates and calendar available, you're just going to reach more travelers, and it's going to save you a ton of effort on the front end of getting your calendar full. And so I have it turned on my property, and I'd encourage everyone to do the same, but we don't force it.
That's fair. Thanks, Jeff. All right, the next question is, I want to hear your thoughts, Jeff, on the bookdirect movement.
Yeah, sure. There's been a lot of discussion on it in the hotel industry for years. There's starting to be more discussion on it in the vacation rental industry. And I'd lead with, I get it. I understand why direct bookings are an important part of a property manager's business, and even in some cases a homeowner's business. I've got a family from New Mexico that comes to our lake house every year, and some years they book direct. They've gotten used to it, and they actually send me a cashier's check, which is totally bizarre. But the thing that I'd emphasize here is our expectations are that book direct is something that's not you're trying to get someone that found you on Vrbo to work outside of the platform, which degrades trust in Vrbo and creates potentially mistrust for you and hurts you in our marketplace. We're spending a lot of money and investing a lot in product and engineering resources and customer service to provide a great experience and find travelers that you help us convert in our marketplace. And so long as that part of the equation is working well for you and working well for us, we think it's a super symbiotic relationship. And we've built in, parts of the platform that are really beneficial to you, like the $1 million liability insurance, our ability to help with payments and chargebacks, and the velocity benefit you get from helping travelers convert on our site comes back to you and finding more travelers. And so, getting that system to work well, I think, is in your best interest and ours. But, exploring your own direct marketing channels or potentially working outside, I understand it as a business person. I just don't think one is in conflict with the other, so much as they can both work together for everyone to make more money and find more travelers.
That's great perspective. Thank you, Jeff. So I think we have time for one final question, and I'm going to throw this one back to you, Jeff. What is Vrbo's strategy to differentiate from other vacation rental platforms?
There's a handful of things, but I'd start with, we're a very balanced platform in terms of the inventory on our site. We think we do an incredible job with individual homeowners with our tools, and we think we do an incredible job with property managers and some of the largest property managers. And a lot of that's the way that we approach support and policy, and a lot of it is also that we bring incredible travelers to our customers. And so our family and friends laser focus, really nailing that, gets us to a place where people, we think, want to work with us and value the guests that we're providing. And so we just over and over and over, what can we do to solve for a family? What can we do to solve for a family to help it be the best vacation of their life? And as we've kind of gotten that focus right, we're focused on partners, we're focused on service, we're focused on families, we've gotten into a place to where I think our partners trust us more, and we're providing a better experience, and that brings in more guests and better guests that are respectful of the property. And we're getting longer stays, we're getting higher ADRs, and I think that we're going to be able to continue to differentiate ourselves based on that quality element, much more so than quantity. I don't care to have the most listings on the planet. We really care about having the best, and most importantly, helping travelers take the best vacations of their lives.
Jeff, I'll just chime in. I agree with everything you said, and the feedback I heard from partners at this last conference I was just at was right in line with what you're saying. They're seeing the best travelers, the best experience come from Vrbo. They're excited to be aligned with us, and we're all excited about what next year brings.
Love it. Thank you both. Really appreciate your time. So glad you're able to be here to speak with our partners. I wanted to note that we did have several questions come in about how can partners provide feedback. So we just want to say we always appreciate your input. Feedback is so important to us, and there's a lot of ways that you can connect with us. One is you can always reach out to your account manager if you have one. You can also contact our support team. We also have a customer advisory board, and we meet with them regularly. If you're interested in joining, we're always recruiting. So you can find more information on our host resource website on that. And for this event in particular, you'll be receiving a survey. So if you have any open questions, feel free to add them there. Great. So as we wrap this up, just wanted to end with any final words of wisdom or encouragement you want to share with our hosts and property managers.
I think the main thing on my end is you're in a perfect industry at the perfect time to not only make a lot of money, but have a lot of personal fulfillment. And so I just appreciate everybody partnering with us, really excited about the opportunity to continue to provide great experiences and help each and every one of you, achieve success however you define it, whether that's maximizing for money or maximizing for time. We're here to help you achieve those goals.
If I had a thought on closing here, it's it's been a heck of an 18 months or 2 years almost, and just a word of gratitude to all the partners that really took care of our travelers in the right way during these past 18 months and were flexible when they needed to be flexible, and it was just amazing to see. And so thank you for all that, and looking forward to next year.
Yes. Well, thank you both. Appreciate your time. And thanks again for sharing your input and your perspectives with our audience today. Appreciate it.